Шон, в мене є великі очікування від заключного модулю нашого триденного марафону, бо тема, яку ви задекларували, вона інтригує. Уроки життя, грішники та святі. Правильно я сформулював? Ви говорили про те, що ви б хотіли поділитися з аудиторією своїм досвідом спілкування з Матір'ю Терезою, римськими папами і королівськими родинами. Якими вони є людьми, були чи є людьми, так? Що особливого в спілкуванні з ними. Це шалено цікаво, бо мій короткий досвід спілкування з Іваном Павлом II у 2001 році у Львові до цього часу залишається спогадом можливості доторкнутися до чогось дуже-дуже втаємниченого. А який є ваш досвід, я би вас просив про це розповісти.
No, we applaud afterwards, huh? Not before. Okay. I would like this afternoon, this is the final session, with your permission, to do the session in two parts, if I may. Please tell me, I'm still speaking to students? Or are there new people in the audience I have not seen before? Yes? Where are you from?
Lviv Business School,
Yes.
from this university,
Yes.
and I'm employee.
Oh, an employee, and we have... Yes. And you're not a student? You're from the same? Everybody else is a student? Not a student? Where are you from?
We are working in a non-governmental organization in Ashkot.
In a non-governmental organization. All right. And you were not here yesterday? Okay. Yesterday the question was, why are you here? Can you tell me why you are here? Ukrainian, if you want.
No, I don't speak English because I'm Polish.
Oh, all right.
Why I'm here? We saw advertisement and we thought we can come, especially we're interested in Materi Terezi.
You're interested?
Listening your experience.
Experience in Mother Teresa. Is that true for everybody? Yes. Yes. Did you tell me why you were here yesterday?
Yeah, I was yesterday.
Yes, I know. Did you write down?
Yes,
And why are you here?
because it's very interesting to listen to your speeches, and you are very interesting speaker. And simply, I'm not a journalist, but I'm interested in journalism.
All right. Anybody else who is not a student? You are not a student? Where are you from?
I'm from Risu.
Religious information
Oh,
service.
from the religious information. Okay. And you were not here yesterday when we asked
Yes.
what is the motivation, so the reason you were here?
I'm interested in all things about religious journalism.
Religious journalism, communication in general? Yes. Okay. You too?
From theological faculty here and teacher of literature.
Teacher, and your expectations, your reason you were here?
I'm interested in journalism, especially church, how to preach for today's world.
How to preach to today's world. That's wonderful. That's very, very challenging and very exciting. You're a student?
I know.
No?
I'm from Institute of Medical Studies, Roku.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you're here because?
Because I'm interested in John Paul II.
Interested in John Paul II. All right. Who's interested in John Paul II? Why are you here? Say where.
Я займаюся веденням кредо. Мені цікаво Ватиканське радіо.
Okay. Did you hear enough about Vatican Radio?
На жаль, не був вчора, не був позавчора.
No, today.
Те, що сьогодні, ну, хочеться ще.
More. But you didn't ask questions earlier?
Ну, невідомо, в якому русі ви хочете розповідати. Зрозуміло, що тема надто широка.
Okay. I tell you why I'm asking you these questions is because the topics are very wide. And so I could stand here for many days and talk and talk and talk. But I spoke to a journalist, a Ukrainian journalist who works for a Ukrainian news agency, who told me that a little while ago she went to a very important lecture here in Lviv with a very important international journalist who is a very good friend of mine from America, and he told her many things during this conference, and she said she liked the conference very much. But when I asked her what he talked about, she said she didn't remember. And I would be very sad to know that I came all the way from Rome to spend 3 days with you, to talk to you, and to hear that you liked very much what I said, but that you remember nothing of what I said. And so, I will repeat what I said the very first day, the very first moment when I met you, those who were here the first day, for the first class, and I realize now there are very few left. And what I said the first day was, I have come here to Lviv from Rome not to tell you what I want to tell you. I have not come to Lviv to tell you what you want to hear. I have come here to talk to you about what you need to know. That's very important for a journalist, for a communicator, for a person. I could come and talk to you about many things, but there are things that I want to talk to you about. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. For you. And I'm very happy that you have come today because it means you're curious. It means you think I can tell you something that will be useful for you, not interesting. Because interesting, you can watch the video. Interesting, you can read the article. Interesting, you can go to Vatican Radio website. Interesting, you can see my Google me. But useful, because we can have an experience together. And we can learn from each other. And so, as my last experience here in Lviv, tomorrow morning I go back to Rome, I will answer any question you have. I will tell you anything you want to know that is part of my field of expertise and experience. I will not lie to you. I will tell you the truth, even if it hurts. And I hope that the result is you will go away with even one thing that is useful to you and to your life and to your profession and to your job and to your career and to your person. But I cannot do it like this. I cannot do this. I cannot enter a conversation with you while I am standing up here and you are sitting down far away from me. I cannot see your eyes. I cannot see your eyes. I cannot see if you're looking at me. I cannot see if you smile. I cannot see if you are angry with what I'm saying or if you are happy with what I'm saying. I cannot see. And so we cannot have a conversation. And I really want to have a conversation. I've come a long way to have a conversation with you, to engage with you. It is important. It is unique. I may never see you again. You may never see me again. This is a unique opportunity for us to share our lives, a moment in our lives, and to know and understand things in a new way. I have been saying for 2 days that our job as journalists and communicators, as people who believe, the one characteristic that we should have in common, the one characteristic that all the great people I have met in my life have taught me, the popes and the princes and the saints, the Mother Teresas and the John Paul IIs, all taught me one thing. In order to make a change, in order to be useful in our life, we need one thing, and it is called courage. It is called courage. Courage is the basis of faith, of truth, of communication. Someone must step across the line. Someone must have the courage to take that first step. Courage. You are a young person. You are going out into the world. You are going to have a career. You will get married. You will have relationships. Courage. Without courage, you will go nowhere. And it's not an abstract thing. It is not something abstract. All the things we heard earlier, truth, love, they are concrete things. I'm going to ask you something very strong. I'm going to risk asking you something very strong. Some of you may not be able to do what I ask you. But that's okay. That's okay. I will understand. If you do it, we will enter a different kind of communication, and we will speak at a very different level, and we will understand each other in a very different way. I'm going to ask you, if you can, will you please leave the comfort and the security of those big chairs? Will you please get up out of these comfortable chairs and come and sit with me here on the floor? Very, very much. You have just done something very important. The greatest people I have known have been the people who were able to communicate not with words, but with actions. And if you wish me to speak to you about great people like John Paul or like Mother Teresa, I must tell you, they did not speak, they did not communicate, they did not give important messages with words, but with gestures and with actions. And what you did now is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing that says a lot about you. It says more about, this communicates to me more about you than you can imagine in any language. You see, to be effective in our lives, to make a difference, there's no one here who does not want to make a difference. We all want to make a difference. One day, when we lie as we are dying, and you think, what was my life for? What did I do? What did I change? one person's life, one thing, what did I do? To make a difference, we must get up. We must get up. And we must have the courage to move into a different place. Outside the comfort zone. Outside the security zone. And you did it. I didn't have to ask twice. I'm amazed, I am excited, I'm thrilled, I'm stunned. I did not have to ask twice. It says so much about you. The first challenge is that. And every great person I have met did that. They stepped out of the comfort zone. Not because they were not afraid. This is important. I know you were afraid. And if you weren't afraid, you would be very strange. Of course it feels uncomfortable. You must feel uncomfortable. Do you think it is comfortable to go to the streets of Calcutta and watch a woman give birth to her baby in the street? Do you think it is comfortable? Do you think it is comfortable to watch people die in the middle of the gutter, in the mud and the rain? And do you think it is a comfortable thing? John Paul, old, sick, traveling still until he could we had put him in the chair, lift him onto the aeroplane, fly to the other country, get him down in the chair, into the plane, in pain, in suffering, an old man, he must go. I have seen him, I have heard him say, I must go. But Holy Father, you are tired, I must go. Out of our comfort zone, out of our safe place. That is the first lesson. And the second is where we are now. Can you feel, is it different? Can you feel that it is different? Because we are all on the same level. I am no longer, you heard, this Shon Patrік, Ukrainian, I don't know, Shon Patrік Lavettt, the Vatican, a big man, a director, a Gregorian University, professor, director, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm just me. I'm just me, and I'm just like you. And I'm just like you, and just like you. And I'm asking the same questions you are asking. It is just that I have had more time to look for the answers. Because you are 22, and I am, I don't know. So I have had more time. But you too, in your time, also, you're on the same level. And to be effective and to communicate, this is the level. Mother Teresa would go down on the ground. She would pray on the ground, always on the ground. Start down here, on the ground, in all her chapels. Pray on the ground. The sisters, on the ground. No chairs, nothing to, on the ground. John Paul II, the night before his inauguration in St. Peter's Square, I know this because his personal secretary was an Irishman by the name of John McGee, who was a very good friend of mine. No one knows this because it is not in the books, it's not on Google or anywhere else. John McGee, his private secretary, told me that the night before, John Paul had to stand up before the world as the new Pope. The first Slav Pope in history. The first non-Italian Pope for hundreds of years. With the whole world watching, inside the Vatican, no one could find him. He disappeared. And there was panic. You imagine the Swiss guards and the secretaries and everybody. Where is he? Where is the Pope? Tomorrow, the whole world is watching. Has he run away? Did he get frightened? Did he run away? Where is he? Now the Vatican is a big place, huh? So they're looking in the buildings and knocking on the bathroom doors. Is he in the bathroom? No. Is he in the bedroom? No. The library? No. Where? They could not find him. John McGee found him because he went past the chapel twice. But the chapel was in darkness, no lights on. The second time he went past the door, he saw something move. And he looked inside. There was John Paul II, lying flat out on the floor, on his stomach, in front of the altar, and he spent the whole night there, the whole night, lying flat on the floor, in front of the Blessed Sacrament, for the whole night, before he presented himself to the world. I believe we start from here. We start from here. Before we go out into the world, before we show ourselves to the world, we start here, from the floor, from the ground, where we all begin. There's one more thing that you show, that you demonstrate by coming down and sitting here with me. The third very important thing, and that is to be an effective communicator, an effective journalist, or just an effective human being. It is very important to see things from the other person's point of view. As long as you are looking at me and listening to me from up there, you see me in a certain way. And you define the roles. I am the student, I am the journalist, he is the professor. It's a different relationship. When you come and you see what I see. And you feel what I feel. And so we know each other. We're friends now. Before, 5 minutes ago, we were not friends. I was the professor from Rome. You were the student or the journalist or whatever. Now we are friends. Now we can know each other. Now you can come and visit me in the Vatican. And I will take you for coffee in the Vatican. And you can come and knock on the door and say, Sean, you remember we met in Lviv? And I will say, yes, how wonderful! Your magazine, Kana, right? Yes! Come in, I will give you a coffee. Isn't so? How is Lviv? And we can, because we know each other. Because we sat on the same level, because we experienced together. Three important things. Three important things. Now you understand why it was so important for John Paul to travel. When I told you earlier today, I said if you count the kilometers, they add up to the same distance. Do you remember? 2? Yes, twice. Right? To the moon and back 2 times. Many people, because people love to criticize. Oh, we love to criticize. Love to criticize. And people would say, oh, look at him. He's always traveling. The traveling Pope. Why does he must stay at home? He must take care of the church at home. There are problems that he must take care of in the Vatican. Why is he traveling all the time traveling? Yes, inside the Vatican, also criticism of the Pope. John Paul had to go. He had to go to where people are, to meet the people in their place, to meet the people at their level, to meet people in their space. And that is why he was so powerful. And that is why we loved him so much. Because he would come to us. And he would come down to our level. And then, not just through the words, but through the actions, he would lift us up. Mother Teresa, same thing. Down to this level, everybody on this experience, living for her, it was important to live with the poor. You do not live in a big house, you live together with the poor. You experience what it is like to be poor. How can I speak to you and say, when you are a poor person, you haven't eaten for 3 days. I had a big lunch, can you see? I have a big lunch and I will speak to you about hunger. Oh, please. When I went to Calcutta, I met Mother Teresa for the first time in the late 1970s. How old are you?
22.
I was your age. I was your age. I was 22. And no one knew who Mother Teresa was, except inside the church. We knew there was this very lovely, very saintly lady working with very poor people in a place called Calcutta in India. But she had won no Nobel Prize, and they did not make films about her, there were no books about her, so only people in the Catholic Church knew about her. But she came to Rome because she started a house in Rome for her missionaries of charity. Many religious orders start houses in Rome, it's very common. My friend the Jesuit is gone, so I can tell you the Jesuit house is the biggest house. In a palace, it is in the Barberini Palace, the Jesuit house is in Rome. Mother Teresa started her house in a pigsty, the place where the pigs lived. In a very old place in the center of Rome, someone gave her this old shed where the pigs lived. And her nuns, still today, they cleaned it out, of course, but her nuns, still today, their rooms are in the places where the pigs used to sleep. When she came to Rome, very often I would meet her, I would interview her at the Vatican Radio. And one day, after an interview, she said to me, I have come to you many times. I said, thank you, yes, it's true, Mother, yes. Now it is time for you to come to me. Did you hear how she said it? She did not invite me. She did not say, please come to me. She said, now you come to me. And that was Mother Teresa. She did not ask. Mother Teresa never asked. Mother Teresa said, this is what it is. So it is time for you to come to me. And you would say, yes, Mother, of course, of course. And so 22, and I go to Calcutta. Have you been to Calcutta? Have you seen pictures of Calcutta?
Yes.
Yes. Calcutta has always been the symbol for the lowest level that humanity can go to. Mother Teresa called them the poorest of the poor. Extremes. Radical. What we are doing is radical. If your professors, I wish your professors would come in. Where are they? Where are your professors? Ah, one. Very pleased to have you. Where are the professors? If the professors come in through the door now, what will they think? This man from Rome is crazy. And the students are even crazier to follow him. What we're doing now is radical. Because it is so different. Because it is strange. But how does it feel? It feels okay? Yes. The great people, Mother Teresa, John Paul, Jesus, always radical. Always radical. Nothing normal. Always something very strong. So, Mother Teresa chose the most radical city in the world. The poorest of the poor. The worst situation. To go and work with them. And I arrived, your age, with my camera and my no laptop, no iPad, no iPhone. This is 1970s. But my notebook and my pen. And the first thing Mother Teresa says, put down your notebook. Put down your camera. You don't need them. Yes, Mother. You need your eyes and your ears and your hands. Then I'm a little scared. What does she mean? What does she want? And she says, because today you will go with my sisters to our leper colony, and you will work there with the lepers. Now, have you seen a leper? Have you seen a leper? I haven't seen a leper. I didn't know that leprosy affects everybody. Small children, small babies, old people, young people, anybody. I thought maybe it's just old people. No, anybody can get leprosy. And you know how leprosy works, don't you? It begins with this little illness which is so easy to cure. Penicillin, one injection, and you can cure leprosy. But in places like India, they don't know. And so when they see this disease, which is very ugly, because it rots the flesh, your body begins to die while you are still alive. And so your flesh rots, and the smell is like a dead body. And the pieces begin to fall off. And so it is a terrible disease. And you remember in the Bible, where Jesus cures the lepers, and you understand how radical that was. And you understand why the lepers had to stay far away and ring a bell, because it was such a terrible, terrible disease. In these poor countries, people, when they see the disease, they don't go to the doctor, they hide. And they hide the person away. And so the disease gets worse and worse and worse. And it takes a long, long time to die. And so Mother Teresa, radical, go to the worst, the ones no one wants, no one can help. And she started the leper colony. And there I am, your age, going to work with the lepers. And the smell. And the sight. You didn't want to look. You didn't want to smell. You didn't want to listen because they're crying. People crying from the pain. And you don't want to touch because you are afraid to touch because it is terrible. And you learn the lesson. And Mother Teresa said, all you need is your eyes and your ears and your hands. Because if you do not see Jesus in these people, you will be able to do nothing. You will run away. First lesson, to be able to see Jesus in that kind of radical suffering. And so your body does something very strange. You stop seeing, you stop smelling, you stop listening, and you use touch. Mother Teresa taught me the importance of touch. Don't trust what you see. Don't trust what you smell, what you hear, but trust your touch. And if I think today how new media is all about not touching. I see your picture, I hear your voice, I read your blog, but we don't touch.
Touch screen.
Touch the screen, touch the screen, not the same, not the same. She taught me that when we see the beggar in the street, can you be the beggar in the street? You are the beggar? Okay. When we see the beggar in the street, the way we do is we take the money and we say, here, take this, buy some food. She said, no, that's not what you do. You give the money, of course you give the money. She needs the money. But you do this. Here, take the money, you buy some food, you look in the eye, you smile, and you touch. Because this is worth more than the 2 coins that you put in the hand. John Paul taught me the same thing. The first visit we made to America, again, 1970s. You don't see this on television because there was no TV coverage. First visit to America, we arrived in Miami. And the first stop is in a church Of course. Where's the Pope going to go? Go to church. Yeah? Someone in Miami, inside the church, near the altar, put some people who were dying from HIV/AIDS. And that was already a very radical thing to do. Because in the late 1970s, they were just discovering HIV/AIDS, and HIV/AIDS was the leprosy of our time. And people were very afraid of HIV/AIDS because people thought you could catch HIV/AIDS like this. If I looked at you, I could catch HIV/AIDS. And so people with HIV/AIDS, they would ring a bell because just the leprosy of the present time. And here in the church, away on one side, were these people with HIV/AIDS. And what did John Paul do? He walked into the church, he saw these people over there, looking very sick, some in their beds, and he said, "Who are they?" And they said, "Oh, don't worry, they're just people, just people with HIV/AIDS. And he went over, and he hugged, and he touched. It changes, the communication changes, the dynamic changes. 2 lessons, Mother Teresa, John Paul. Trust the touch. Not always what you see. Have the courage. Step out of the comfort zone. Come into the area with the others, the same level. Those are my lessons, my life lessons for you today. What else can I tell you that you need to know? Yes. Can we take the other microphone and we can pass it around? There's another microphone somewhere. There it is. Thank you. Can you pass it to people who want? So now we are friends. We have no secrets, you see. Yes. And so we can talk about anything you want to talk about. What do you need to know? What can be useful for your life, for your experience, for your career? What will you go home tonight and tell your friends in the collegium, or in the office, or in the community? What are the stories you will go home and tell? Yes.
Як вам здається, Матері Тереза, Іван Павло II.
So this is off, just a second.
Sorry.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Іван Павло II.
Oh, she can't. Can you switch on? Switch on the microphone?
Switch on. Yes.
Okay.
Іван Павло II, Матері Тереза. Ці люди знали, що таке сумнів? Чи вони настільки вірили Богові, що сумнівів такого в їх житті ніколи не було?
Wow.
Ну,
Yes.
як спілкування вашого з ними, як вам здається? Ну, просто я знаю, що ніхто не відкриває свою душу, але з ними спілкувалися, чи зауважували якісь хоч нотки сумніву трішки?
Yes. I spent 26 years with John Paul. I traveled around the world with John Paul 26 years. And I spent a lot of time with Mother Teresa. These are not things that you express openly. These doubts are not things we speak about easily. I wrote a book with Mother Teresa. I collected many of the things that she told me. She had this very easy way of speaking, very concrete, very down to earth, very practical way of speaking. And I collected many of the things and put them in a book called A Way of Love, which in English is a play on words. A way of love is like a road that leads to love, but it is also a manner of loving. a way, a method of loving, which I think is a unique way of loving. It is that love that I think we all seek. It is that unconditional love where I meet you on the same level and I accept you as you are. Imperfect as you are. Different as you are. That is the kind of love that she taught me and John Paul taught me. I know that Mother Teresa went through a period that in Christian literature we call the dark night of the soul. It is a period of doubt. The dark night of the soul. I know she did. Not that she doubted ever the existence of God. I think that was always very, very firm in her. She doubted her purpose and what she was doing. She doubted that it meant anything. And if you think that is the great temptation that the devil gives to Jesus on the mountain, he almost tempts Jesus to ask, is it worthwhile? Everything I'm doing. And that is a lesson as well. Is my life worthwhile? Is what I'm doing worth something? If it is not, then, like I said to you earlier, I climb on the roof and I jump off. And some people do climb on roofs in different ways. That's a metaphor. Because they feel their life is not worth anything. I know that that period of doubt lasted a long time. But I know also that she never stopped praying and believing that she would wake up from the dark night. John Paul, as far as I know, never went through that. John Paul had a prayer life that was the most intense I ever experienced. When John Paul would arrive in any place, he would always first question, where is the chapel? Where is the chapel? And if there was no chapel, he would go outside, because nature was his chapel. And for when we were traveling with him overseas, it was a problem, because the itinerary was very full, and he was always in prayer, and we were ashamed to say, excuse me, it's time to go. His prayer was so intense, so strong. And if you look at some of the video, even when he was older, you can see he will holding the cross with his head against the cross, and he's in another place. He's not there. He is somewhere else. He lived this very, very intense prayer relationship with God. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Де особисто для вас порушувалась зона комфорту під час спілкування з Матер'ю Терезою або Іваном Павлом II? Що для вас було найскладнішим у спілкуванні з ними? І чи було взагалі таке?
Thank you. Yes, there was. How old are you?
21.
21. Okay, so nearly you can. I ask because I think you can identify. Imagine yourself. Imagine yourself. You get on an airplane, you go to Calcutta, you're going to do a reportage, you're going to do an article, you're going to take photographs, you're going to make a story about Mother Teresa. Yeah, and the first thing she says is leave everything. Leave your iPad, leave your iPhone, leave your camera, leave your laptop, leave all the things that make you feel secure. Leave the media and think about it's you. You are the medium. All you need is your body. That is the first thing. That was a shock. For a young person, a big shock. Because what do I do now? I have nothing. It's just me. I cannot rely on any of the things, the objects. I become the protagonist. I am the medium. That is the first. Then, you have just arrived. It was 1 hour off the plane. I'm there with her. And she says, come with me. Not please, will you come with me? No, come with me. Yes, mother. This is 1970s, so she was young, very strong, very tiny, like this. I'm not very tall, but she was like this, but very full of energy. So we walk through the streets, Calcutta, and I'm going, this is it. First thing is the smell, really. The first thing is, and then your body cuts it out. You don't smell anymore after a while. Then your eyes, and you say, I don't want to see this. And then you begin to see, and okay. And how your body gets used to these things. So here we are. We're walking through the street with Mother Teresa, and there, lying in the gutter, is a man. And he has his eyes closed, and he's lying on his side. And I think, oh my goodness, this is terrible, this poor man. And Mother Teresa goes over to this man, and I think, now I will see a miracle. Now she will do something beautiful. Now she will levitate. Now she will raise him up. Now she will bless this man. And she kicks him. Her face. Look at her face. That was my face. That was my face. Exactly. Exactly. And I go, what is she doing? And I look away. And she says to this man, she says, I told you, get up. This man gets up, and he's a big man. He's up here like this. And she says, I told you last time, if I see you drunk in the street, I will kick you all the way home. Now, you follow me, you come to my convent, my sisters will give you some tea, and you go back to your wife, and if I see you drunk again, I will fulfill my promise. Is that clear? And he goes, yes, mother. Sorry, mother. Now, come with me. And he comes along, he goes to the sisters, and the sisters give him very hot tea, and so he gets a bit better, and he goes back home. That was a shock. That was a line, That because we think that to be a saint means we think that is to be a saint. A saint is to be real. A saint is to be a real person, dealing with real situations. She helped that man, but he needed to be helped in that way. He needed to be kicked. That was what she did. Okay.
Я хотіла запитати вас, в книзі Томаша Галіка «Терпеливість з Богом» він згадує про те, що в щоденниках Матері Терези були згадки, ніби вона перед смертю зневірилась. Там навіть такі слова, він пише, що стала невіруючою. Очевидно, ця думка була підхоплена і розвивалася. Я чула, як люди про це обдумують, по-різному трактуються. Я вірю, що, як і ви, вона в основоположних речах щодо Бога не зневірилася. Просто там говорилось про щось інше. Про що саме? Ви можете пояснити, як людина, яка добре її знала?
То не та Тереза, то з Лізьє. Я мав на увазі Терезу з Лізьє, яка дійсно перед смертю зневірилася. Не остаточно.
Can you take the microphone, because Alina needs to translate. She needs to translate, so she needs to hear you. Yes.
Я відповів. Галік пише не про ту Терезу. Не про Терезу з Калькутти, а про Терезу з Лізьє.
Of Lisieux, who also went through the dark night of the soul. Yes.
Навіть якщо так, то просто цікаво почути.
I thought I did respond. To say, to me, she never lost faith in what you call the important things, the existence of God. She lost faith in herself and in her work, and she began to doubt that it was meaningful and that her life had really had a purpose. She began to doubt whether she was living up to God's expectations. which for her was the most important thing.
У мене до вас особисте питання. Коли ви бачили Матері Терезу, яка допомагала конкретним людям, конкретним хворим, а потім вам доводилось повертатися на свою роботу і писати, чи в той момент займатися журналістикою? Журналістика не здавалась вам занадто абстрактною справою?
Thank you. That is a wonderful question. Thank you for the personal question, because it means that you are now considering me as a person and no longer as a professor. And that is very important to me. And that is a very deep question you ask. Because of course, can you imagine experiencing this? Can you imagine living at this level with people and bathing the lepers and reading the stories to the children and cleaning and singing and talking and feeding and working in another house of hers was called the House for the Dying. In the Hindi name, Nirmal Haride. It was the last station. It was the place that they would bring people, not the man that I saw, but other people off the street, people who were dying in the most incredible ways. I don't want to make you sick, but yes, people would come to the house and they were half eaten by rats because they had been lying there and the rats would come and start to eat them alive and no one would do anything, and her sisters would find them and carry them to the house. When I say radical, I mean very radical. There was a man there when I was there, where half his head was eaten by the white worms, the maggots, and the sisters were taking the worms out of his head one by one. People came there to die, and her idea was that there they could die with dignity. We heard that word today, huh? Dignity. Surrounded by love. Just surrounded by love, by care. No words, just touch, care, love, smile, eye contact. That's all. So you can imagine, you work like this, you're in this environment for a while. It's very hard for me to come back. Yes, it was. But I was 22. And when we're 22, we're very adaptable. And I adapted. But it still was not the same. And that was when I became a war correspondent. Because I also needed to feel that my life was worth something. I was doing something that was useful, that was special, that was different. And I wanted radical situations, extreme situations. And that is why I went into the war situations. And very often put myself at great risk. Because I felt I was doing something that was worthwhile. So the war situations took over from that. And then you ask what happened after that? After that, I got married and had children. And that became my next radical and extreme situation. How do you bring up children? It is a very radical and extreme situation. And you can't be a war correspondent and bring up children at the same time. And what do I do now? Now I go around the world and I teach. And I try to make an influence on young people's lives. I try to make them think in a new way. I try to give them a different perspective on things. And I also skydive. You jump out of an airplane with no parachute. Yes.
Ми кажемо, що живемо в час комунікації. Це, напевно, дійсно так. Але з того, що я часто бачу, комунікація між церквою сучасною і сучасним суспільством виглядає так, як на початку нашої зустрічі сьогодні. Хтось гарно виступає, чи це священник, чи це єпископ, чи це папа, чи це Радіо Ватикан, чи це хтось з релігійних журналістів, а у суспільстві кожен займає свою нішу, своє крісло. І з цього крісла не дуже хоче виходити. Якими рисами мав би бути наділений, на вашу думку, релігійний журналіст, зараз не говоримо про священників чи єпископів, це інше тема, релігійний журналіст, щоб він зміг зробити в суспільному масштабі те, що зробили ви на цій лекції?
To be honest, I was hoping that the answer to that question would be obvious. And that there would be no need for words and categories, but that through actions and gestures it would be clear that I believe the contribution of the religious journalist is the ability to meet people on their own level, not the domination, subordination, not speaking down, not considering people on levels. What we're doing here, I try to do with different people in different groups around the world. And I'm asked to teach at seminaries, I'm asked to teach at universities, schools, and various places. And at some point, I always invite people to do this. When I'm doing a workshop with bishops, it is impossible. They cannot do this. They want to do this, but they cannot do this. They cannot come down to the same level. It is very hard. And I think we must be careful, because today you are just a student. Today you are just a professional journalist, but one day maybe you will be in a position of power. You will be one of those up there. Be careful that we don't look down, but we are always ready to come down. Courage, curiosity, the desire to know, to ask the question. If you don't knock, the door will not open. If you do not ask, you will never know. Curiosity, to be a religious journalist. Curiosity. Courage, to step over the mark, to go where others will not go, where others are afraid to go, to meet people and to see things from their point of view, to understand from the other's point of view, not to impose your own prejudice and your own ideas and your own agenda. How many journalists do that? Huh? I arrive, I don't care what you're going to say. I will make you say what I want you to say. It's my agenda to see things from others' point of view. But I hope we are doing this more than saying this, but just to be very clear.
Я не знаю, можливо, я пропустив, коли говорилося про військову журналістику як таку. Наша країна, хоч, дяка Богу, війна давно минула, але вона перенасичена військовою тематикою. Це один з основних ідеологічних важелів, які сьогодні є, навіть, можливо, більше, ніж з Радянського Союзу. Цікаво би було почути від вас, від людини, яка була на війні. Ну так, якщо можна, я розумію, що на це питання не можна присвячувати багато часу, але все-таки хотілося б про війну як про таку почути.
unfortunately, we dedicated a whole session yesterday to war. What's it lost? Yes. Okay. Yesterday afternoon, we dedicated a whole session to war, and I showed some of the war footage of situations I've been in, and we spoke about different aspects of war and our approaches to it. If you wish to ask me a specific question, I'll be happy to answer.
Не буду забирати час.
Просто хотіла подякувати за лекцію і щоб поділитися, що мені дуже, що мене вразило, що мені сподобалось. Про комунікацію. Це як, виходить, це п'ята комунікація, як дотик, як папа Франциск робить, торкається, обіймає людей. І, що медіа – це ми. І я так просто собі зрозуміла, що ділитись – це, власне, особисте спілкування, так як Матері Тереза говорила, що не потрібен комп'ютер, не потрібні там якісь технічні засоби, просто ви. Просто молоді покоління, коли в нас
Can you speak close to the mic for the...
Молоді покоління, діти, коли будуть питатись, я хочу чимось поділитись. Навчи мене, як мені поділитись з кимось тим, що я думаю, тим, що в мене сталося. Просто це важливо, щоб сказати дитині, що це не тільки на Фейсбуці, ти натискаєш share і це ділення, а що це, власне, оце особисте вміння, особисто поділитись.
Thank you for saying that. As a Facebook generation, for those who were not here yesterday, there are many who were not here yesterday, right? Yeah, just see, there's no judgment, I just need to understand. Who was not here yesterday? Oh, a lot. Because yesterday we spoke about many of these things. Remember, we spoke about war, we spoke about digital media and what we call analog media, and how my generation, just my generation, one generation, has been able to experience both. My parents only experienced analog. Analog is what I call the vertical communication, where if something did not work, you tried to fix it, to understand why it did not work. And the new digital generation, which is about speed and knowledge and is a horizontal dimension, where everything is about what is the next thing. What next? Where do we go from here? What's next on the program? And when something does not work, you throw it away and you get another one. And maybe it's your cell phone, maybe it's your boyfriend, maybe it's your wife. If it doesn't work, throw it away, get another one. My generation is the only generation that stands between both. My parents only knew how to fix things. Yours only knows how to throw things away. I think we can learn from each other. We must not forget. And so it is so exciting for me to hear someone in the Facebook generation who remembers that there is something, there is another dimension. And that the digital dimension of speed, we said yesterday, like skiing on the lake or on the sea, behind the boat, going very, very fast. And it's very exciting. Oh, look how fast I'm going, look how fast. Where am I going? I can't see. But it doesn't matter. I'm going. And it seems that's the digital. We're going very fast, somewhere. We don't know where. We can't see anything, but it doesn't matter. Across the surface. not to forget there is that deep sea diving. You put on a mask, and you dive down under the water. And it's dangerous. And it's scary. It takes courage. It takes curiosity. It takes time. Because you're going down, down. And you discover so many things. You see so many things you never imagined existed. To me, it's like faith. It's like faith. Faith is analog. Faith is not digital. You must go down. It takes time to discover. It takes courage. It's not for weak people. Faith is not for weak people. They stay on the surface. La 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 la. And as soon as something goes wrong, they hit a rock. And they fall off. Splash in the water. And they say, that's it, finished. I'm never doing this again. Is that what happens? Huh? To have faith, to be a person of faith, means to have the courage to go down and to discover things. Maybe there are things you don't like. Maybe there are fish there that make you afraid. But still you go down because you believe. Those two dimensions. So thank you for reminding me of that and allowing us to say that again.
Лежало дуже цікаве то питання, про яке ви говорили стосовно анонімності у Фейсбуці та на Ютубі, оскільки на Фейсбуці анонімність як така неможлива. На Ютубі можливо, на всіх інших ресурсах теж, на багатьох можна зареєструватися дуже швидко і швидко виреєструватися і знову коментувати. Ми спостерігаємо тепер таку цікаву особливість, коли, думаю, ті, хто займається релігійними медіями, можуть побачити таку дуже велику проблему, пов'язану з такою плоскістю, що, скажімо, статтю тільки опублікували, вона велика, її неможливо прочитати за долю секунди, але там вже стоїть в оцінці або одиниця, або лайк. Тобто зрозуміло, що дуже часто читачі, або сучасні читачі не встигають ані оцінити, або оцінюють або за назвою самої статті, або сподобався автор як такий, або просто людина має прихильність або антипатію. І тому ставить або мінус, або одразу лайк, навіть не читаючи. То, власне, цікаво хотілося б почути вашу позицію, крім того, що ви вже говорили про анонімність коментарів у Ютубі, у Фейсбуці чи в інших мережах, де б то було, бо це така широка тема, але вона дуже цікава.
What is the question?
Питання, ваша позиція стосовно анонімності як такої, вона сама по собі є злом, чи однак вона дає можливість висловлюватися? Ви порушували кілька цих вже питань, але хотілося б ширше про це. То, що ви говорили до обіду.
We call that a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question to which you already know the answer. I do not believe in masks. I do not believe in hiding away. I believe in responsibility. I believe in honesty, truth, face to face. If you want to tell me something, please tell me. Do not send me an SMS. Do you know, statistically, the most common SMS message in the world? Do you know what it is, Maria? You who teach media. The most common message, how do you say it? SMS?
Okay.
SMS? No, the most common SMS message in the whole word message.
Okay.
No? Yes. It is a variation on I love you. Je t'aime, te amo, ich liebe dich, te quiero. How do you say it? Thank you. Do you really? It's a variation on I love you. Do you know what the second most common SMS is? Number 2 in the whole world.
Do you marry me?
In front of everybody. It is a variation on the words, it's over. I leave you. I leave you. It's over. It's finished. So, I express my devotion for you, and I express the relationship is over with an SMS. If you love me, please tell me face to face. Give me a rose. I'm very old-fashioned. I like flowers. Bring me flowers. Look me in the eye. Hold my hand and tell me you love me. If it is over, give me back the ring. And tell me, I'm sorry, it's not working. Goodbye. Please, will you please promise you will do that to me? Right? But do not tell me on Facebook or on SMS or any other way. It is important for us to remember that. Can you think, what are your 5 senses? Can you write very quickly if you can? Huh? Write down quickly if you can. What are your 5 senses? You can't write, think in order. What are your 5 senses? Go, write down. 5 senses. Go. Write down. Think. What are they? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You thinking?
Yeah.
Yes. What are they?
First.
Yes.
True. True.
It's okay. It doesn't matter what word you use. Yeah? Doesn't matter what word you use, but which of the senses first? Say it in, yes, get the microphone please. Microphone please.
Зір, нюх, дотик, смак.
Quickly. Yes.
Зір, нюх.
Sight is first for you, and second?
Нюх.
Oh, can you switch on the microphone? Turn the mic, please turn the microphone on. Leave the microphone on, yes. Okay, very good. So.
Hello?
Yes? She's good. Sight?
Першим для мене є зір. Другим для мене є все ж таки, напевно, дотик, а потім іде нюх.
Okay.
А потім іде слух.
Yes? And then? You still have 2 more.
І смак.
Yes? And you still have 1 more.
Дотик був другим.
Yes, but you still have 1 more. You've given me 4.
Фо.
You said sight is first, touch is second, hearing is third, taste is fourth. You still have 1 left. So, okay. All right. This is a very. What did you write? Yes. What are they?
First was to hear.
Here.
Second, to smell.
Yes.
To see.
Yes.
And to touch.
And to touch. And you still have 1 more.
Yeah. And taste. Yeah.
Ah, yes. Okay. This is a very funny game. It's the last game I will play with you. Okay, then I will let you go home. The last game, but it's a very funny game, and you can play this tonight, Maria, when you go home. What were yours?
Mine?
Yes.
Actually, probably I will need a
No,
microphone.
just point.
No,
Point.
for me the first thing is not unofficial source of information.
No,
It's
point. But
information.
senses. No. You're being intellectual. You're being a professor now. Your 5 senses. Just point. Sight, then
Then
hearing,
and then
touch,
then smell,
and then taste last. How long do I have, Natalia? 10, 15 minutes. Okay. Just to close. I want to leave this back. With you. I was very moved when I saw the motto of your university. Know yourself. It is a beautiful motto. It is the beginning and the end of everything that you will do and everything you will be. Know yourself. And with this little game, I feel you can know something new about yourself. If you know the order in which you place your senses. I believe we all place our senses in the order that is most important for us. And that it is not your mind that tells you, but your body that tells you what is important for you. Most people forget 1 sense. So if you forget 1 sense, you are normal. Welcome to the club. It is rare to remember all 5. What you're saying is that your body doesn't consider one sense or feels it is not important. And that can already tell you something about yourself. Most people, when I do this exercise with them, will place sight either as number 1 or in the top 3. In every language in the world, the words to see is to believe exist. How do you say in Ukrainian? To see, seeing is believing. Yes. I've heard this phrase in Asia, in Africa, in the Philippines, in Brazil. Every culture has a way to say, I see, therefore I believe. We trust what we see. We trust what we see. Even though, when we are babies, sight is the last of the senses that we develop. We are already a baby about 7 months, 8 months old when we begin to see in focus, to see properly. It is the last of the senses that we develop, is sight. But for us, it is the most important. Hearing is the first sense we develop in our mother's womb. And the first thing we hear is everybody in this room. We all heard the same thing. What did we hear? A heartbeat. We heard her heartbeat for 9 months. All day, all night. We heard her heartbeat. When we hear a heartbeat, we feel together with that person. People who make horror movies put heartbeats under very scary parts of the movie. Very softly. So your ear doesn't hear it, but your mind does hear it. And your heart begins to beat with it. And so you're sitting, oh my goodness, he's got the killer, I can't watch, oh no. And your heart is like, boom, 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 because you are doing it together with the heartbeat on the movie. That is because when you were in her womb, your heart beat with the same rhythm as hers. The second thing you heard in the womb, what was it?
Voice.
It was her voice. You could hear your mother's voice in the womb. You could hear when she was laughing. You could hear when she was crying. You could hear when she was angry with your father. You could hear when she was singing. You recognized her voice. And so listening is the sense we associate with feelings, with emotions. Sight is the sense we associate with logic, with reasoning. I see, therefore I believe. Rational, logic, I must see to believe. Hearing, I feel, therefore I believe. You want to know the rest? Yes? Do you want to know very quickly? Huh? The first 2 senses we develop in the womb are hearing and touch. First hearing and then touch. We feel. We feel the sensation of being in the womb. Hearing and touch go together. And for me are the most important of all the senses. And they go back to my heroes of Mother Teresa and John Paul. The ability to listen to others. But listening means to hear with them. Not to listen to them, but to listen with them. And if I listen with you, the best and most powerful way to listen with you is like this. And when you visit a sick person in a hospital, or when you are with someone who has special needs, or with someone who is dying, what do? Do you talk? No, you keep your mouth shut. And you listen very carefully with that person. And you hold that person. You touch that person. You can never do that on Facebook. Please don't die on Facebook. Touch is experience. Touch is experience. If you put touch very high, either as number 1 or in the top 3, what you're saying is you are an experiential person. You do not trust your eyes, so you're not rational. You do not trust your ears, so you're not emotional. You trust your hands. You trust what you can touch, what you can experience for yourself. How did you know that fire burns you? Did your mother tell you? Yes, she did. Many times. She said, Maria, don't touch the fire burns. And what did you do? You have to experience it. There are some things we must experience in order to learn. If you put touch very high, you're saying, I privilege experience is the way I learn best. I do it in order to understand it. I don't read it, I don't listen to it, I do it. The most uncommon, the senses we forget most often are smell and taste. Most people put it low down or forget smell and taste. Smell, if you put it very high up, you are saying you are a very spiritual person. Because smell is that sense that tells us all the things we cannot see and we cannot hear. And it's mostly common in women. Men have a different attitude to smell. Because we like to run and sweat, and a good man should have a good manly stink to be a man. All the perfumes that they sell on the television are all, the commercials are aimed at the women who buy the perfume for their man because they can't stand the smell anymore. We say in English, I don't know if it is, you can translate it, Helena, in Ukrainian, but we say when someone is very holy, we say they smell of holiness. They have a perfume of holiness about them. And in many of our traditions, when saints appear in visions, they are accompanied by sweet smells of flowers, of roses and smell. Holiness is accompanied by sweet smells, because smell takes us to a different dimension. We use incense during the liturgy. We use incense. The smell of the incense in the liturgy is there to bring us to a different dimension, a transcendent dimension. Smell is the transcendent sense. Most people forget taste or put it very low. That's because it's a bit delicate. It has to do with sexuality. The most wonderful moment of your life, was when you were at your mother's breast. Your head was here. Mothers know this. Not because they read it in a book, but they know that if their baby cries, they will pick up the baby. You don't believe me, don't believe me. Look, listen, observe. Everywhere in the world, from Amazonia to Lviv, mothers, when their baby cries, will pick up the baby and put the head here on the right side. Fathers will pick up the baby by the legs and say, what must I do? The mother will hold the baby with the head over the heart. You were at her breast. You could hear her heart. You could see her face because you were so close. You could see your mother's face. You could hear her heart. You could feel the warmth, the softness. You were eating this wonderful food full of protein and vitamins and antibiotics and all the things that you needed to survive. You were nourished by this food. You felt safe. Nothing could hurt you. It was the most wonderful moment of your life, and we have never forgotten. And that is taste. And that is why, when we are afraid, we are upset, we are nervous, embarrassed, we go back to the mouth. We go back to when we lie. When we lie. We go back to the mouth. It is all the senses together. But we are just for Mother Teresa and me, but they're valid for me and for you. It's hard not to be emotional when I say these things. So I'm Irish, we get emotional very easy.